Hi everyone, I'm super excited to host Rahul Vaishnav. He's CTO of Flowlly. Flowlly was part of Formworks Lab cohort, and that's where I got to discover about the platform he's building. And after chatting with him, it's like he's building cutting edge AI stuff for construction. So I have to get him on the show. Thanks a lot for your time.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to talk about Flowly, what we are doing, and yeah, great to be here.
Amazing. Rahul, can you share three highlights of your career till date?
Three highlights. Okay, that's a tough one. So I think I mostly worked in operations. So I come from mining background, and I worked in Tata Steel for a couple of years before I moved to US and started doing tunneling. But the I think the highlight for that one is. I would say the one highlight that's constant throughout the operation is like how people come together in a very difficult environment. So mining, we were doing mining in underground coal mines, right? And it's very harsh environment. It's like 35, 36 degree with like very 80, 90-degree humidity. And you are there for 8 hours to 10 hours to 12 hours just mining. And so the camaraderie of the people that make that possible. I've seen that in working at Tata Steel, and that was real highlight. And I've seen working at Trailer Brothers in tunneling. So we are building tunneling, so it's again really harsh environment. You are building in underground in like very sandy soil in Los Angeles, and there is a lot of H2S and like very harmful gases. So the physical environment, it's tough, and when there's a physical environment, the people generally comes together very naturally and help each other, right? So that's been my highlight through different career progress. And then I think the other part that I discovered working at Tata Steel was the ethical approach to doing business, right? We are aware, I think that's the to do business in Indian setting. You have seen all movies like in the coal mining area. So it's very difficult, right? And then Tata Steel stand out as a very ethical company. It doesn't compromise with the ethics and it's able to do business. And people and supervisors and everybody knows that this company is ethical, right? So we have to toe that ethical line. And that's been another learning for me is like, yeah, you could do ethical business in difficult and harsh environment. I think that would be it, right?
Got it. So that's your first one?
Yeah, so the first one is harsh environment brings people closer. It's difficult. And then second is like, yeah, I guess it's learning, but it's also my highlight is like when you can do ethical business in tough condition when everybody is saying, no, the business can be done. There's a people don't understand it. That's the only way you can do business, but there is a way to do ethical business in tough condition. And I think third is the technology. Technology always accelerates. So when I was building tunnels in LA, I discovered that even though we are at the forefront of technology, implementing technology in the business, we can accelerate and move forward really fast. And that's what we did. And we brought some really good change. We built some hardwares, we built some software, and we accelerated. We did some really cutting edge stuff. So that's, I would say, it's really great. Yeah.
Any pivotal moment in your career which stands out where you had to make difficult decisions?
Yeah, I mean, I think I could tell you a story. And I think when you work in the harsh environment, everything is difficult. But I don't remember as like a big pivotal moment, but we were installing some really instruments and there was a shaft. It's a tunnel shaft. We were
Mm.
installing instrument vertically, right? And we had to do a bunch of stuff and get some permissions, and all my crew was standing there getting permission. And I knew the permissions, we will never get the permission, and if we go that route, we won't be able to do the work, and it's going to be detrimental for the project itself. It's detrimental for the people, and we're going to be pushed back like couple months in the down the line, right? So at that moment I took the responsibility of doing that part on me. So what I want to say is I made a decision that we are going to dig and we are going to put that instrument in, and any part where everything goes bad, that's my responsibility, not my crew's responsibility, right? And I sent that message that we are installing instrument and we are going to do this, and it's going to be on me. And we installed instruments successfully, and everything went greatly. But I think the The learning that I got from that incident was sometimes you have to take risk, and then risk, there is a reward for risk, but in the leadership, people don't respect you if you can't take hard decision, right? So if I would have said, Micro, hey, go back and all that, and we'll come back and we'll do that together, and I have to chase a bunch of people. Yeah, there's a risk. There's a very high risk, but taking the responsibility of risk on you and shielding your people from it, that's what the leadership is about. And that's what I learned through like hard stuff. Yeah, I would say that. Yeah.
That's a great story. It
Yeah.
it takes
And that
very
that comes
mm,
from like even mining background. So we were in the mines and there were a lot of people, right? And India we have hierarchy, but I've seen like people who are actually mining the coals and they are taking whole responsibility for making the environment safe and everything, right? The people like officers and like engineers, they go once in a while, but the real leaders in the mining environment are the people who are doing actual coal mining. And so things, the responsibility and the leaderships and things shift based on who is doing what. It's not your title per se. When you are able to take risk and shield people, then naturally you are able to take the responsibilities, right?
Rahul, take us through the initial days of Flowly, how the idea was born.
Yeah. So what we were trying to do, Flowly, is build out this autonomous system that can supervise people. And I'll come back to it, what it means. That can supervise information, supervise people. It can collect information from job sites and look at your schedule and tell you where you stand with this schedule today. So for example, you have a bunch of items in your schedule. You have to put a shaft together. You have to put a TBM machine in the shaft. You have to dig, but there are always going to be stuff that's going to move your schedule back and forth, right? The problem that we have in construction, there is no good mechanism of collecting that data. We have daily reports, we have meetings, right? We have different meetings where people come, they talk, but the data never gets elevated in real time to the schedule. So the schedule is never updated, one, and all the stakeholders in the that are part of the schedule, be it owner, be it subcontractors, they are always lagging behind. They don't know where the schedule stand, where we stand together. So the idea that Flowly was an AI agent that can go, that can call people, that can send messages to people and collect data autonomously and update the schedule. And so that was the initial concept that we started with. During the initial journey, I met my partner Roberto. He's my co-founder, CEO of the company at Formwork Lab. At first, we went through Antler. Antler is an incubator, just like Formwork. So we went through it. We got initially funded by Antler. The idea was very different at that time. But as you know, in the startup, you change idea a bunch of times until you fixate it on one. So we went through Antler and then we got funded and we started working on this and this. And then we started leaning more towards my expertise on construction and we started looking at the problems in the construction that I faced. And then we started talking to a bunch of people and then we started deciding on how we should build a product. We started with very bold vision with the AI agent that I just described, that it will be calling people, it will be sending text messages, and then it will be collecting information and it will be looking at the schedule and updating a schedule. And if anything comes up, it's going to send everybody messages. We were the first time founders, so we made that mistake, but we quickly realized AI was not there. And I'm talking like 2 years back, right? So AI, the LLMs were not there, but we started building out towards that thing. So initially we started out with big. It didn't work, obviously, so we cut back our scope. We cut back. Then we built out a meeting agent that just joined the meetings and start collecting data from the site. Then we integrated WhatsApp. So now we also integrated to WhatsApp and now we are testing the call. But from the initial vision, now it's been 2 years and now we are making some progress toward that vision. So that's been our journey so far.
I see. What has been your proudest moment?
I think I, instead of giving like one incident, I would say uh, it's the journey itself has been very fulfilling. Roberto and I, we persevered through last 2.5 years building out Flowly, and there's been very ups and downs, right? Like in a startup, initially we were funded, we were really happy, and then we started looking for pilots and stuff, and it was difficult. Construction, you can't just break in. Even though I come from construction, I was in US and I moved to Canada, so it's a different environment. Then we pivoted, we talked to people, we've been in Formwork labs, and since then we are moving inch by inch closer to our goal. But the proudest moment is how we didn't quit, I guess, and how we are not planning to quit, right? We've been at it and we know we are very close to success, and we will be going at it with full might. And I think we've been getting, instead of ups and downs through the ups and downs, we've been more invigorated every time we see problems. So yeah, I guess that's been very proud. Yeah, I'm very proud of that.
I'm vouching for you guys, and
Yeah.
I can see the perseverance. So it's just you guys are keeping pushing it day by
Yeah.
day.
And I think there's a very thin line between being dumb, for lack of a better word, and persevering through it. And we don't. I don't think any entrepreneur know which category they fall in, and that's fun. You could be really dumb, like you're doing same shit over and over again to get to the different result. Hopefully, you'll get to a different result. So I don't know if it's dumb or intelligent or tenacity, but it's one of those. That for sure.
Yeah. I read somewhere the most important skill of a founder is judgment,
Hmm.
and that judgment is when to quit, when to pivot, and when
Yeah.
to persevere. So
Yeah. And I
it's
think I think there's a. Sorry, did I cut you off?
no, I was just wrapping up. Like we sometimes glorify perseverance, but sometimes working hard in wrong direction when the technology is there, but timing is not there,
Right.
and so there's so many variables.
Yeah, and I think it's just taking a shot in the dark, and you start throwing your darts out, and hopefully some of will land at the right place. And if you throw enough dart, and if you are ready to shift a little bit when you are throwing darts, you'll be able to get to a right position. So that's what it is. And I think you rightly said the skill is judgment, because I think the another part of being an entrepreneur is judging people and understanding who brings what and what are their pitfall. Is not just judging yourself, but judging other people is really important from that regards. Yeah.
Right. Are there any surprises in the journey you thought I'm building this value, people will automatically come, but then like it's struggle to get foot in the door. Like what are some of your surprises?
Yeah, I think I didn't realize sales is that hard because I come from technical background. I'm an engineer, so technology comes easy to me, and so I always thought building a good product, understanding the problem itself is really essential. But sales is really, really difficult. It's not just you can have the greatest product in the world, you can solving a really valuable problem, but if you don't know how to sell, you won't be able to sell the thing. And there's a lot of legwork that's needed before you can sell a product. So building out audience, building out having right channels to reach to people, somehow that's also your responsibility, that the confidence that this initial customer that you reach out to, they have certain confidence and expectations of you, and they're putting a lot of faith. So you don't devalue that confidence they have. So you have to help them through the platform, understanding the technologies and bringing the change. So long story short, sales, I didn't realize sales was that going to be that difficult. I built product in past when I was working on LA Metro projects. I built hardware, I built software, and I was able to deploy those things really easy because I had
Mhm.
inner access, and we deploy a lot of software and stuff. But from outside, it's very difficult. You come from you're doing a lot of sales. Tell me about it. What's your experience with sales and stuff, and what could we do better?
I spent like 2 years mastering B2B sales, so I totally align with technical and founder
Yeah,
who turned into CEO. The company is growing as good as the founder skill set of sales.
yeah,
So that's the thing with the first startup. So
yeah.
you're right on point.
Yeah, and I think the technical people they don't they underestimate how what is sales, and I think they don't have any idea. You can take a lot of courses and classes and stuff, but it's this things comes with only practice. It's like swimming, right? You won't be able to learn it until you are in it.
Yeah, I wish we have in the industry more coaches,
Yeah.
like just for founder to learn sales and B2B because it's a learnable skill. It's
Yeah.
just time and money, but also at the initial stage, you want momentum. Like every discovery call booked or every potential pilot can make a big difference in direction. So the room to failure is very like can cost the startup a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. And I think construction now has a lot of incubators, in-house technology person, and they are easy to reach out to. Then you would go blindly into a construction company. So that's a good sign, especially just for construction. Like now you can approach people who have a designated role in a company who will help you pilot your product. So that's been good, but it's a slow process. Not every company has it. Not every person understand what you are doing, or most company are not aligned, or the so there's a lot of friction there.
Rahul, anything you wish you would have done differently? You briefly touched upon a point that you had initially a broader vision and then you started rolling out products which are like point solution in the whole process. But apart from that, any other things?
I think yeah. So I think one good thing has been is we were chasing this dream of AI, and we are building products based on the future of the AI it's going to look like. So we were a bit early, um, building out those products, and now we are catching up. The technology is catching up to where we want to be, but understanding that part is like you could start very small with a very point solution which solves one very specific problem, and it will solve for this people, and you can disregard everything else. That's just noise. So you know who you are going to sell, what exactly you are going to sell in one line, like that's I'm going to sell, and everything else is just noise. So even the thing that I have decided I'm going to sell to a person A for, like, let's say $5, and then there's another opportunity of $1 million. But you have to be really focused on what you are doing. If you're gonna pivot, you're gonna pivot, but now that's your pivot, right? So you have to be really focused, pinpoint on one thing that you are going to do, and then you can pivot and make changes. And I think trying to build too much feature in the product. So that's another mistake we did, because trying to build too many things at once, it wasn't clear like what we are building, and still we are struggling. Like we can do this and that and that, but just being able to say I can do this one thing really well and everything else is noise.
Mm.
That's a great thing. And yeah.
It's a great advice as well. Like sometimes like especially in the vertical SaaS approach,
Yeah.
we like try to sell, okay, we can do multiple things, but sometimes
And I
like
think in AI space, I've heard a lot of people say, and we are in that bucket too. People say the agents and AI is different. It is able to do lot many things. So now the traditional SaaS or pinpoint solution doesn't work anymore. But I don't think that's necessarily true. Even if your AI can do many different things, you should be able to focus on one thing until you get to a bigger platform, right? Then it's just your marketing ploy or your messaging ploy that I do this one thing really great. So, yeah.
got it. I'd love if you can do a deep dive on the product.
Sure, sure. So our product, let me show you my product. So let me share my screen, right? Trying to see, I'm not sharing anything sensitive. So screen. All right. So our product consists of few different things. At the heart of it is an AI agent. The AI agent can do bunch of stuff. Again, we're trying to be focused. We can The core functionality of AI agent is it can read data from our project, from Google Cloud, and it can do a lot of manual work. So people are using our AI agents to do bid leveling. They have bunch of bids. The bids come in, they have to analyze the data, they have to run the bids, so the AI agent can do the bid leveling. Um, you have to write minutes of the meeting, so and a lot of platform do minutes of the meeting, but the special thing about us is we we incorporate construction process. So minutes of the meeting in construction is different from Fathom or other thing. Is like once you've written a minutes of the meeting, you need to send it out to all the people involved. They will have some comments. You need to incorporate those comments into the system. You need to refine your minutes of the meeting, send it back, and everybody approves, and then becomes a legally binding, not legally
Mm,
binding document, but that's a document that there will be a fights against, like that was written. So we facilitate that whole collaboration process around the minutes of the meeting, but at the core is this agent. You can talk to it, and then you can include all the different documents from it. You can have like you can give it a document and you can ask it to do a lot of different things. um, so it works like a let me go to this project. So I'll show you. This works like a more like a AI agent. So you could give it in the subfolder, look at those daily reports. From their daily reports, now fetch a schedule. So I'm asking it to look at the daily reports from all my folders, then fetch the schedule from Procore, and then do a deep comparison on where we stand with the project schedule against those daily reports, right? So the system goes in, it collects, I don't want to show you data, but it goes in, it looks at all the different schedule, it brings out the schedule, it selects a lot of different reports, and then it just start writing out like how my schedule is going to be impacted by all these things. And it runs for like few good minutes, and it will come with the document. So it will come with a document that you can read, and then you can make changes. And if you know a cursor based program where you can ask it to edit the document, we have the same functionality. So you could
mm,
ask it to edit the document and the changes will be seen in the document. You can approve and reject it. So you have it. So the system also, like, you can do a bunch of this document workflows. Like you could have like a schedule performance analysis, or you can look at the reports, the data that a field team is sending. We have an agent that connects with WhatsApp. So the field team could be sending data through WhatsApp, and it can write the daily reports based on the data that's being sent out, right? So that's one kind of workflows that we facilitate. Other things we facilitate is the system start to build out the schedule automatically. So this
mm,
schedule, let me go to a different project just to arrange. So this schedule, it's not that people, it's not a build out schedule. Like nobody built it, AI built it. So once you connect with WhatsApp and once you connect with your email, people are sending data and chatting with the system will look at different things and it will build out the schedule, and it will start linking those things, and it will also start collecting like a lot of different histories, like why if something is delayed, why it was delayed, and all those things. So it will build out that thing, right? And then you have core functionalities in our system. You can connect to Procore, you can connect to your Google Drive or Microsoft Drive, and then system syncs all your data with the agent. And then it basically works like the tool that's trunk tool. So you could
mm,
connect it to WhatsApp, or you could connect the agent to chat interface, and you can like ask it bunch of search for geotechnical. I don't know if this project has it, but search for specs in the folders or project, or I don't know if this one has it, but you could technically go in and the system will start looking for the different information for geotechnical specs. So it found some documents and you can see where it founds and all those things.
mm,
And you can ask it, okay, read the file and give summary. So and then the system has like a lot of different capabilities. Like it can read the files, it can analyze the files, it can run the technical analysis on the file. So it's reading the file, and so it's gonna give me that file. This file deleted doesn't exist, but you got the point, right? So it's gonna
mhm.
read the file in the system and all those.
That's incredible. And like the amount of nuances you have understanding the whole process, it's
Yeah.
amazing.
So I think, and that's, I think the lot of it is when we were building out the system, we started with the broad vision. So we have a lot of different components to it. But right now, what we have done is we have created a parallel meeting platform, and all our marketing messages, we do minutes of the meeting, right? So that's how we focused on, and then we collect all the data of the meeting, and then we cross reference against our different projects. Tell you a story. I did one RFI on my previous project that saved us a bunch of money. And then I met um, one of my counterpart on a different project. And so we were sitting out and we were discussing this thing. And I said, I did this RFI that saved a bunch of money. And then guy was like, oh yeah, we have the same problem. So can we, I can do the same RFI and we will be able to sell that, save that money part, right? But that knowledge, if we wouldn't have made Matt and we wouldn't have discussed that thing, it never get transferred. So what we are doing with the minutes of the meeting agent, doing minutes of meeting of the minutes, good basic thing. A lot of platform do it. We are also doing the whole thing that I said um, around minutes of the meeting, how to get approval of the different stakeholders, and then you make the document binding for all the parties. Good, but once substantial amount of data is collected, we elevate it to next project, because a construction company doesn't have just one project, it has multiple projects. So you take that knowledge base and apply it to the next project, and you see where are the improvements needed to be made. And that's been a tremendous gain, because in project A, people are going to leave and they have a lot of knowledge that they are going to take with them. But now we encapsulated that knowledge, and that knowledge is going to be transferred to project B. And then people of project and project B are going to learn things automatically. And I think that's really valuable. So that's been, we've been trying to do a pinpoint on that.
That's a killer feature. I can imagine like so many companies' IP is there because of people with so much experience and they share it, but it's not well documented or well transferable. So
Yeah.
maybe with AI, it's the first time we could do it.
Yeah. And I remember like when I was in a bidding team, we were building this document, and so we were doing bunch of takeoffs, and we did like whole month of bidding. I was small part of the team, but uh, we came up with the number, and then so we present. So at the end you have a meeting where they look at, everybody from the senior team is going to look at the number and say, hey, you, this bid is ready to go, right? And then the senior team came, and I think McDonald or somebody, never mind, so he said, cut this portion of the bid, which was like about 10 million or something, to half, just cut it to half, right? And it's like, oh, that doesn't make sense, right? But he said, no, because I know this happens and it's needed to be half, right? So that kind of specific nuggets of knowledge, that's when the new guys come in, they're just gonna miss. But if we record that meeting, then the knowledge in the system, and the next time somebody do that bid, we know that the scope item need to be $5 million. So you're not overbidding the project by $5 million, right? Yeah.
That's an interesting insight. What has been the most technically challenging feature to build for your product?
Yeah. So I think so I'm gonna go deep into the technical portion of it, but the orchestration pipeline has been really difficult, and I'll explain what the orchestration pipeline is. Basically, this AI agent, they can talk asynchronous. They generate some tokens, and then tokens get passed around like different agents in a collaborative environment, and then it's just tokens, right? Basically some tokens goes in, some tokens comes out, right? The principle works, the principle of it is very easy. So you take some kind of initial data, and then you put it into the system, and then system generates some final output. So example, you have two bids that goes in, you receive two bids from a subcontractor that goes in the system analyze it, and then system gives you output. Very simple. The problem happens is, first, it needs to what kind of data you're selecting around it. So the way I call it the scaffolding around the AI agent. So it's good that you have that understanding of data going in, but what is the data, right? The two
Mm,
files that you provided, it's good, but there's has to be a bunch of other data like your project information. Probably that's important, right? You have done bid leveling previously, so there is a file sitting in your document folder that has some information on how you do or how your company do bid leveling. So how do you track, how do you select that information and give it to AI so AI can understand your process better? So that's more challenging than you would think. There's like you could do semantic search and you could do agentic search. All those works really good on paper, but once you give it a real world problem and it has to go out in the wild and select and understand data, it really fails. So you have to create a system where it can select the right context around it. And I think the AI agent like cursors and others which are doing really good, that's the problem they have solved. Like they know
mm,
when you give it some code to do, they are not just giving your code, they are selecting a lot of different files, your previous work that you are doing, and a lot of context around it. So they have nailed that part, and that part is really difficult. The second part of the problem is the once you give it a problem, the AI agents are going to solve it, right? So they are going to generate some tokens, and then the tokens are going to go into the system, and the next batch of tokens are going to generate, and the tokens are going to pass around multiple agents until you get to your final result. But the problem is, what if one of the process fails, right? So one of the
mm.
process fail, how do you preserve that state? So now you don't want to like start from
Scratch.
start, right? You want to preserve your state and you want to start from where you left off, right? So that's a difficult problem because you need to create this state machine that knows where I fail and where I should stop and where I should ask user, and then once the user provide the response, then I continue from that response. Coding, it is easy, right? So when you are building coding agent, it's really easy because in coding you have linters and stuff like
Mm,
that. So when your code, even before you run the code, there's a definite error that it's gonna hit, right? So you know that's an error. Okay, I need to go and solve it. So AI agent can solve it. Even if there's no error, the VS Code or cursor in this example, it will know there are linter errors that I need to
mm,
solve, right? So it's gonna solve. But when you're building an agent for construction and your bid is not, so your bid, so we are taking the example of bid leveling process. So the sums of the all the data that you extracted from your bid is not matching up to the final, or there is some risk component that it took that's not really a risk. So how do you pass that as an error so AI agent can solve it? So it's much more nuanced and much more human centric than the coding agent. So that's been a challenge to solve. We have done a lot of work around it and we are continuously improving it. But that's a very, very difficult problem to solve. Then you don't need anything. Once you solve it, then it can do anything, right? Yeah.
mm.
That sounds like architectural decision you have made sound like very thoughtful. And also would love to know your thoughts on evals, putting like
Yeah.
sometimes like benchmarking for specific task, like
Yeah.
we are solving for an industry task. So the true or wrong values is also you create your own benchmarking data set kind
Yeah.
of thing.
Yeah, that's been another problem. So there have been few things that the evals can be created for us, and we did some evals initially, like retrieving right information, semantic search, those kind of things. It's very easy to build out evals and system, and we have built evals for that. The challenge that we are facing right now is first the models are changing so rapidly. So uh, I think 4 or 5 months back we were like. Claude 3.5. That's the model that was doing really good. Then Gemini 2.5 came up, and then that was better than
Mm.
that one. And then Evals doesn't work really because now your prompt is a little bit different. How you're tuning the
Oh,
system is different. So we are playing this chase. We were doing evals in the beginning, but I'm sad to say we are not doing that much. Our evals is our customers' satisfaction for now. We have created a system where we can collect how people are valuing the output or not, and then we can fine tune based on that. But that's been it. I think I want to get back to it. That's a lot of work, but I think with bigger team, I will get back to evals. But yeah, it's been difficult. I think nobody's doing it, to be frank.
Yeah, yeah.
Because you're moving with such a speed, and evolves takes time. You have to have right data set. You have to have good understanding of the problem. People are using the AI agent for a bunch of different things. Some of the use cases we don't know. When we see, we know, okay, yeah, that's it. But how? So it's a game of chess.
What kind of firms are a great fit to use Flowly?
Yeah. So that's also been quite a learning for us because we started with smaller and medium contractor first. So there's a company who was using Flowly. It's a small company, but they had bunch of drivers out in the field, right? So the drivers send where they're making drive deliveries each day. And then based on that, Flowly goes in and update their database and create a daily logs of like this item was delivered to this site, and then so they can keep track of everything that's happening. And that was one person job for them. So we were chasing smaller companies beginning, but I think now we are seeing is bigger companies, more infrastructure kind of companies are a great fit for us. Basically, because these guys have a lot of paperwork, right? So from creating an invoice to I got like 10 invoice from subcontractor, and now I need to look at all the logs my guys have generated, and I have to look at the schedule and see if the subcontractor provided me these 10 invoices, who I should pay, or I should ask for the question, is that invoice is correct or not, right? So that's like a very boring kind of paperwork, and that I need to do it. So those kind of workflows, there's larger companies have a lot of those workflows that we automate. I have bunch of these Excel sheet, and I have bunch of these Excel sheet, and these Excel sheet have formulas, and I need to copy data from this to that one, and so I need to do that kind of. And I have got a PDF file, and the data is really archaic. So now I need to copy paste those things. So Flowly is really good with those kind of workflows, right? Yeah. So I think the bigger companies, bigger infrastructure, general contractors are really a good fit. Having said that, we are working with smaller contractor and mid-sized contractor too. We have few clients in Vancouver, few in East Coast that are helping us build out more workflows.
And what's the best way to reach out and test?
Yeah, you can always go to flowly.com and see what you have. But if you reach out to me, Rahul at flowly.com, the way we do is we sit with you, understand how your system work. And I've seen in construction software, like in traditional industry, you give a software and say goodbye. That doesn't work in construction. So we sit them with them. If there are prompts that needed to be written, we write those prompts. We test the system until you are satisfied with it, and then we do that. So reach out to me at rahul@flowly.com. Long answer short.
What would be your advice to 18-year-old civil engineer who wants to build startups in our industry?
Yeah, so that was my one of my pet peeve when why I got into the startups. If you look at a Stanford graduate in computer science, they earn like 400,000 K starting salary, and if you look at a civil engineer, they earn like 90K. They're same guys, same potential, same mindset, but there's a huge difference. I think now is the time if you can pick up AI and do like three guys' job or four guys' job, you can get the same salary output to like a computer science grad and those things. So I wouldn't even say like a startup, but you could even in your job you could build out a startup in a sense. Like you could do a 10 people job, like you pick up the tools and start doing a bunch of stuff, right? So you could do a lot of things, but I would emphasize if you don't know what you are doing, you're not gonna able to do other people's job. So if an experienced person, he knows what he's doing, so learn first. You can't just take up a AI tool and start doing 10 people's job. You need to learn what you're doing. If you don't know what you're doing, you're not AI is not going to help you. Once you mastered that thing, then you can do 10 people's job easily. But you have to master it. You need to know better than AI to help AI to get AI's help, right? Yeah. And so,
Yeah, because
yeah.
without domain expertise, you and someone with from other domain will can do the same prompt and can get the same out. So
Yeah.
you're
And I
yeah.
think it's not even that. It's like the output is not going to be good because the problem that we talked about, right? The code has a linter that can show you errors. There's no linter in our industry. So how do you know that what AI generated is good or bad? It showed you some risk, like, hey, we cannot drill here. There's a H2S. Uh, there was a GBR that said there's an H2S in the ground, so we cannot drill here. We need to have a mitigation measure. But if you're a dumb shit, you won't know. So you need to learn first. You need to be expert at what you're doing and perfect under the guidance of the people you are working, and then you can pick up. So it's a great opportunity for young people. Just chase every old guy you know, learn everything they can teach you, and then try to do a couple of their jobs, I guess.
Mm,
Yeah.
interesting advice.
And I think if you want to build a startup, you have to think in that line also. Like find a person who is good at something good at it, learn everything that he does, and then try to replicate with AI. That could be your startup, right? You pick one thing that they do really good, right? It could be yelling at people. That's a lot in construction too. So, yeah.
How do you keep up to date with all the latest in AI and ensure?
Yeah. And so
Yep.
now it has become really difficult for me to be keeping it updated with what is happening. There was few blogs that I was reading. There was few industry expert that I was following on Twitter. There's always bunch of new news, but the now for us, so the two things that I've learned, I have started stop focusing on the new tools, developer tools that come out, tools like LangChain, and those were great, and there are hundreds of those come out every week, so I have learned not to focus on those. There's like new agentic framework comes out every week, so I don't focus on those. My mostly focus is on what are the new models that are coming out and what are their evals, or like what is their benchmarks that comes out. So I find their benchmarks, and now I also have learned to um, take the benchmark with a grain of salt. So if some model comes out and say, "Hey, I have like a 5% increase in this scientific reasoning," I still wait it out. Initially, I was like, "Hey, why don't we try this new model, this new model, this new model, and it can do this thing." But now I just wait it out, and I've learned like this. All the models have kind of tapered off. From 3. Claude 3.5 to 3.7, even though there's a some push out there. Um, for our work, it doesn't really matter. From 3.7 to uh, Google Pro 2.5, there's not much difference, and you have to do a bunch of work. So now I think we have seen the capabilities of models are good for what we want to do. They have reached at the point where we can use for a bunch of stuff, and we are focusing on just writing better prompts and building better processes so they can do it. Yeah, I sound like an old guy in AI space now. And it's just 2 years, right? How fast this thing is moving. Yeah.
Rahul, anything which we didn't cover in this interview and you'd like to end on that note?
No, I think it is great time. I think there's a lot of startups are coming out. And I was like having this kind of anxiety. Is like, we're not moving fast, we are not building fast, and AI is moving so fast. But anybody who's trying to do and building startup, this is a great time. You haven't fallen behind. In fact, you are still early, I would say. So if you start now building a startup or doing anything in your job that requires AI, this is like this is the golden period. It is like T0 is now. So go get at it. Yeah.
If you have an idea, the best time to start is today. Hopefully, you got great insights from Rahul's journey, the product he's building. I wish you all luck. It was lovely hosting you.
All right. Nice to meet you, Mayur. Have a good one.